It's currently June 14th, Friday, 8:56 in the morning. And this is the specific environment, again, rapidly appearing as I document the entity group stalking by helicopter in concert with speaker companies, which is Carla Lopez, license plate 9 Frank Charlie Xavier 513. Carla Lopez is a third party. This is a group stalker that is in the workplace engaging and criminally facilitating the state of California's group stalking system, which is terrorism that's occurring in a workplace, and also my location where I'm subject to that terrorizing system. While you are aware of the elements of monitoring, the entity is engaged in the hallmark of stalking in helicopters. And also doing so while in the specific environment. All of this is already established surrounding the people of the state who are engaging in that criminal conduct in the specific environment, and I am inside of the private space. So the videos that I'm capturing is a sex offense that the people of the state, who are in the shoes of the government, are engaging in concert with the state of California. Carla Lopez is going to federal prison. That's serving the civil and criminal prosecution of speaker companies, the third party company, maliciously providing the guise under which the same exact state system that the state of California is engaging in, federal group stalking and monitoring, is underway, which is how the people of the state act with that state that's engaging in group stalking. The entity does it with the people in the unnatural environment, amongst stalking in helicopter, particularly in California, in that specific environment where the sun rises and sun sets at the same address where I've shown you here at Alvarado Gardens. And I'm going to give you another example of that right now. But I'm giving you context as I document this at 8:27, 8:36, 8:39. The demons engage in the pattern. You document them once. The demons that are fearful but also psychotic will engage in more and more of that. And that is to, it doesn't work on me. I'm going to prosecute and show the federal government and the world the operation of Satan, the effect of demon possession on human beings, which creates a psychopath, a mentally unstable, and this is a population, not a person, a mentally unstable environment because of the condition of those that surround you in that unnatural environment who are group stalking you. And it shows you the reaction, the behavior, the decision making of that entity that's a threat to your life and your safety. This is relevant to the rest of the country because this is what's going on. This is the criminal conduct that the entity is engaging in, and this is the behavior that corrupt entity practices as it is exposed. The more you document their criminal conduct, in other words, the more criminal conduct, the more lawlessness results. Okay, and so this is what you're seeing practically while more and more helicopter activity results. As I begin documenting after capturing video and pictures, I begin documenting in Word, okay? Literally typing out license plates and putting down names. The demons that are keeping you under surveillance will engage in more of that criminal conduct. And this is going to the demise, let me be clear, Dominic Choi and the men and women of the Los Angeles Police Department, a terrorist organization, not a law enforcement agency. They are engaging in terrorism in the state of California, and they're providing a template for what the rest of the state of California is engaging in. This is blowing the whistle for what is terrorism throughout the state of California, okay? And it is demonic. It's group stalking. And group stalking is underway by the government, and the people of the state, meaning the people that live in the state of California, are group stalking with the government. License plate 9FCX513, and that is both documentation of Carla Lopez, who's going to federal prison, engaging in a sex offense, and also speaker companies, criminally facilitating a state system of surveillance, terrorism. That's an illegitimate company whose crime scene, literally the workplace, is literally the specific environment that's serving for the prosecution of a third party company, the identification and literally the draining of the pockets of such a criminal organization, not a legitimate company. This is the mask that the government wears while keeping you under surveillance. And that's why you have all of the pattern of conduct underway in what is supposed to be a business establishment. There's nothing normal or natural about the behavior or the environment, and it is in concert with what is the documented stalking of the state. And that is the wealth of evidence that the state of California is indeed group stalking, and via the people of the state at Alvarado Gardens and all those in relevant position, for example, on Alvarado at Silverview Townhomes, Effie, Avalon, Lobdell Place. That is the people of the state living all along the hillside who are all covered in engineered light, which is, again, this light that you see on my floor, which is not sunlight. This is engineered light that's covering all of the population that are all going to be prosecuted, literally as I am inside of my private space documenting the terrorizing system that they are all engaging in together, providing evidence against itself, all of them together, and they're all going to be prosecuted all together. The exception is that those that live on the grounds of the crime scene here at Alvarado Gardens All of those that live on the property where I remain of Alvarado Gardens, those that are the same population, the same entity, they are going to federal prison for their specific act of living around the targeted individual with the criminal purpose of keeping one under surveillance, which is a threat to your life. This is an intention to discard an American citizen, to terrorize them, to torment them in concert with the state, and doing so in a malicious manner. Again, assuming that it would never be identified, assuming that that would never be subject to a prosecution in a federal court, which is the reason why government engages in group stalking, by the way. This is the reason why the people of the state engage in group stalking in concert. And the fact that the entity is indeed group stalking is already an established fact, relevant for the knowledge and the action of the federal government. And it shall result in what are every employee of speaker companies is going to federal prison, including, and let me be clear, it is fully established that that is indeed the case, because speaker companies is not only a group stalker. Speaker companies engaged in a documented act posing the highest threat that the people pose, not only by engaging in terrorism and enabling a government to engage in terrorism, but the entity engages in obstruction of justice while doing so in the shoes of the state and exercising fictitious authority as though they are a legitimate company, exercising any constitutional right to operate a business and exercise authority within that within the confines of that business. And all of this is the pattern of conduct. And because of that level of malice is underway, you go to federal prison for that, because the government will under no circumstances directly or vicariously threaten the life, the liberty, the livelihood, the well-being, the physical safety of the, or let me be clear, in any way they want to threaten your ability to financially support yourself, any and everything, in other words. Okay, they want to threaten your reputation by engaging in criminal defamation, all the ways in which the people of the state act with the state to try to silence you because you want to engage in that. You want to go to federal prison. And that is literally shown through, again, the act of obstruction of justice that I already documented. This criminal act, and this same entity is still engaging in federal group stalking monitoring. As you see this engineer light on my floor in my living room, it is going, I cannot stress it anymore. Don Noggle and Heather Teal and the prosecution of speaker companies. The corporate office is going to federal prison. Every third party documented engaging group stalking. That means every email, every phone call facilitating this state system that is already documented. It's already on the record. And the entity, and let me be clear, is to date engaging in that criminal act, even as you see the specific environment, which is engineer light inside of my apartment. It's never naturally occurring. It is prima facie for what is federal group stalking and monitoring. At this point in the evidence, it is an impermissible threat, and the entity does so with specific knowledge of the fact that it's being documented, and this in and of itself is speaking to the destruction of speaker companies, everybody working for that third party company. As you see, Carla Lopez, who's going to federal prison, okay? But everybody working for that company is going to federal prison, and everybody living at this property is going to federal prison. And this light activity is shown at 9 o'clock in the morning, 9:03 in the morning, where you're going to look at what is the light source. All right, this is the light source that is directly outside of my living room window. So I've got a couple of things I was going to show you, but we can have fun with this. Let's look at a couple of things. First of all, the entity is maintaining a light source outside of my living room window. So I want you to remember what the entity is doing, which is ongoing evidence of what is nothing other than group stalking. So while I am here in Los Angeles and the entity is maintaining a specific environment, I want you to recall the criminal act of group stalking, federal group stalking monitoring by what's supposedly, again, the neighborhood trash man. All right. And the video where you've seen engineer light moving across apartment buildings, this is engineer light that's inside of my apartment. It is the act of the demonic, and it's occurring inside of my apartment, and you've seen it occur outside while the people of the state are group stalking, crossing path, while I am documenting them on video. This is the foolishness of the demon-possessed who provide evidence against themselves, again, under the foolish assumption that it will never be identified, that no one would ever believe the target individual, that no one would ever be made aware of, and that's the foolishness. And let me be clear, that's speaking to the defeat of Satan. This is entirely demonic, what you're going to see down here.
Space as well.
And let me be clear. I'm at the same property. This is 903, where I'm standing at the parking lot of, on the bottom is what I'm referencing. I'm standing in the parking lot. I am right now upstairs. I'm at the top right here. This is where I'm at. I'm facing the opposite side. So I'm facing the hillside where I'm on the bottom. what you're seeing not downstairs, what you're seeing on the bottom at the same time on April 29th, 2024, I'm standing in the parking lot and I'm facing the opposite direction. I've given you a very vivid illustration of this same location at 5 o'clock. So there are so many angles with regard to the destruction of speaker companies, which I'm going to lay out in a video showing you what is the specific environment where LAPD is engaging in group stalking to date, and the LAPD sought to communicate a threat to my ability to maintain employment while LAPD is engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring in concert with speaker companies, the mouthpiece of the LAPD, who are seeking to obstruct justice and threatening my ability to maintain employment while they together engage in federal group stalking and monitoring. The heights of malice, and it is the grounds of federal prison for everybody that I just mentioned, including Dominic Choi. Okay, the entity is maintaining what is the specific environment over me while I'm here at 9:03 in the morning. And the reason why you're seeing 9:06, but I'm going to use, there's so much that I can use, but I'm going to go ahead and use the example of what you're seeing right now. This is supposedly the illusion of, oh, this is the sun and this is sunlight. Okay, first of all, neither are the case. The light source is remaining over me at 9:03 in the morning. We're going to remember where else I was at 9:03 in the morning, same time of your analysis. And then I'm going to remember, you're going to recall how I'm standing at the same location here up at the top. And you're looking at the phenomenon of the light source remaining over me at that same location, at this same property after 5 p.m., which is exactly what I documented. Who was group stalking on that day that I captured last week? That was Amazon Prime, while the entity was group stalking at the same exact physical location. And this is the entity that's providing evidence against itself, while then providing evidence of obstruction of justice by the people providing a letter speaking to, again, their admission to engaging in what is group stalking and federal stalking on the venue of the internet, utilizing communication devices to do so, seeking to obstruct justice while that psychopath of, again, their condition is relevant, while they engage in the provision of evidence and seeking to obstruct justice, seeking to silence someone where you have no right whatsoever, not only because it is a free speech issue, but let me be clear, your free speech is very core to what is exposing a criminal act committed by a government through the malicious actors that are the people of the state. No neighbor, okay, no company, business in operation, no normal behavior. It's demonic activity. In every way, you're witnessing malice, and this is the specific environment where it's occurring. So at 9 o'clock in the morning, 9:03, it's currently that time while I'm looking outside of my window. Sorry, I've used my window so many times and I'm doing this is why you see fingerprints, but I want to make sure you can see clearly the light source because I'm documenting this pattern of conduct on a daily basis. This is the light source that's in perfect alignment with me. This is the pattern of conduct. This is speaking to, again, the unnatural environment where I am remaining literally at the same time at an entirely different region. For example, on public transportation, Omnitrans, on at the venue already at this time, the Fontana Lewis Library at 8437 Sierra Avenue, at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts at 225 South Euclid Avenue. I'm literally at the, for example, 215 East C Street, the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library. I am literally on the ground sitting in front of the Upland Public Library at 450 North Euclid Avenue in Upland, California. All of these, the wealth of documentation speaking to what is under no circumstances ever. Not only do you see the light source, which is not possibly the sun, the light source is over me. And you are supposed to be so foolish that you would even accept the notion that this is sunlight after you have seen engineered light, all manner on the ceilings, in the shade, appearing not only in my office, but on the property outside, even in the shade, and all along my ceiling all day long. And this is the body of evidence that the entity provides. Again, this is showing the mental illness of that entity that is aware that it's being documented. What do the terrorists, the demon-possessed terrorists that are group stalking, that is the state of California, and the people of the state are that same entity? The entity provides more evidence against itself while it provides ongoing criminal activity that's going to be documented, meaning sounding more helicopter activity, meaning engaging in what is just more crossing a path for me to get your license plate, engaging in more stalking in airplanes for me to capture that on video, for me to capture the amplification, arriving with what is the light source, which is never the sun, and engineer light, which is not even sunlight, which in and of itself is serving for the prosecution of the whole population, okay? And so this is what the entity is doing as you look at this crime scene, and then I want you to compare it to what is, this is the same thing on the bottom, and this engineer light that you see inside of my apartment is the engineer light that's dynamic as it moves across an apartment building, while the people of the state who are group stalking all around at the hillside, keeping me under surveillance while it's inside of my apartment, because that's not the sun and this is the sunlight, that's already established. This is the specific environment that you see at the bottom. The light source is seen through the window of this vehicle that is crossing path, all right, in the unnatural environment. And the engineered light, it's not going to appear on the inside of my apartment. You're going to see it moving along a wall while a demon, that's what universal waste systems represents, crosses path. That means drives by me, and engineer light is not stationary around me inside of my apartment where there's no cars, no person present to maintain the elements of monitoring. The entity maintains a specific environment inside of my apartment while the people of the state group and the state group stalked by helicopters and airplanes all around all day long, maintaining this crime scene. And that's how you are recognizing the unnatural environment. That's why the sun rises and sets here, because all of the population is group stalking. Now, what you're seeing here on the bottom, this is a demon that's operating a commercial vehicle on the bottom at 9:03 a.m. I'm at the same property right now. And the entity maintains this engineer light while moving. It's all across the building. And so I want you to look at that. I've shown it before, but this is an opportunity to engage in what is highlighted and emphasizing documentation showing what is the criminal system, which is of a demonic nature. And it's a sex offense as it occurs inside of my private space. And that's this, what you see here is evidence of the criminal act. It's state action. It's the crime scene where the state keeps you under surveillance in concert with the people. And it's the same thing happening on the bottom of the screen at the same time, where the crime scene is shown through the engineered light that moves across the building, which is an act of a phenomenon. Let me be clear. This is an act showing a phenomenon because the sun is never going to be here. This is capturing the demonic. And then you're aware of what is relevant. It reveals the condition of all those in that unnatural environment and the presence of that light that you see bouncing all over. It appears on the ceiling. There's a shadow excuse me, let me show you this light activity that's on my ceiling right now. My shadow is appearing above my head. All right. You can see the light activity above, but you're looking at what is concentrated. It's just different methods of the same maintenance, engineered light. And the entity is engaging in no distraction. The entity provides this because it's fearful, because I'm naming Carlo Lopez. You already know that Carlo Lopez is a terrorist, a sex offender, and he's going to federal prison. You already know that. The entity provides more evidence against itself by providing a whole wealth that I can have literally tons and tons of fun with, showing you all the ways in which the demon possessed are engaging in surveillance. That's what this is. This is what the entity does on an ongoing basis. And it's not a distraction. It's serving to further prosecute and surround with insurmountable evidence Carlo Lopez, Speaker Company's Center for Better Life, that terrorist that drives that vehicle, Center for Better Life. You already know the unnatural environment where he is present on an ongoing basis in the morning, where that which is not the sun, the light source, is not outside of my living room window, not capable of being seen on this side, but it's seen outside of the opposite side of the property while I am in the parking lot at my leasing office, and the entity is maintaining the light source on this side of the property, which I would not be able to see it outside of my living room window while it's outside right now of outside of my living room window while you see it here, and it would be outside of my bedroom window. And how do you know that? Because again, in this video, the light source is right behind me. Here it is, right behind me. This is during the 9 o'clock hour where I have reported to work. I'm downstairs. Where I'm standing at the parking lot is not visible outside of my living room window right here. Okay, this is in alignment to me where I'm standing. This is in alignment to me where I'm standing. Identification of what is the specific environment as well. Also, not going to be seen where I am at this location outside of my living room window of building 1806. You can see building 1806 in this video right here. This is building 1806 right here. If that was the sun that's outside of my living room window in perfect alignment with me right now, I would not see it right behind me through the window of this demon who's operating a commercial vehicle. I wouldn't see it right behind me. And by behind me, I mean it's right over my head. It wouldn't be in this location right here. That's speaking to the specific environment. And all you have to do is pay attention to the environment and dissect the evidence. That is not the same location. The light source is right over my head in the same way that you see it right here, right over my head. And this is, again, the evidence that the entity provides. This is not over my head while I'm in the parking lot documenting the demonic behavior, which is serving for the elements of monitoring operated by the people of the state who are using nothing other than a commercial vehicle, speaking to exactly what Carlo Lopez and the LAPD are engaging in together, while I'm documenting helicopter activity, and that which is not sunlight is occurring inside of my apartment as I document that. That's a threat, by the entity that's monitoring your documentation. It is as demonic as covering up the light source all day long. As the light source is then unveiled as you document, that's a communication of a threat, which is reasonably construed through the demonic environment where the demon-possessed are maintaining presence all around you for purposes of engaging in their demonic behavior, which is group stalking. The elements of monitoring, light activity, relevant positioning, audible activity. While the demons are listening to you document, the demonic environment is communicating a threat to you. And that's also how you're going to document the state that's group stalking you. Okay, so that's speaking to the evidence provided against itself. while the entity provides that to me. Not only are you looking at the light source that's at the same exact specific location where I'm located inside of the property, not in accord with where I'm at the same property at the same time, which is my ability to capture it right over my head as I'm in the parking lot, and not outside of my living room window at the same time. How do you have that phenomenon? Because the entity is indeed engaged in what is terrorism, and it is of a demonic nature, and you can identify that unnatural environment, and it is, again, identification of what is demonic, demon possession by an entity that's keeping you under surveillance and knows that it's being documented, and because that entity engages in what is the foolish audacity to provide me more evidence that you want to continue to do so, you go to federal prison for even longer. You are permanently removed, as the entity hears me state, from the medical field. You are permanently removed, as the entity hears me state, from law enforcement. You are permanently removed, as the entity hears me state, from any area in public society where you pose a threat to American citizens, and that's including the legal profession, where, by the way, I have surrounded the entity with evidence speaking to what is the ability for a corrupt government to operate its system and systematically obstruct justice in the courts, amongst the sheriff's departments and the police departments, which is, again, by the generosity of the demons that are the men and women of LAPD, letting you know exactly how the state of California operates its criminal system. So it is, again, at 9 o'clock in the morning. All of that is prefacing what the entity is doing. And so the engineered light that you see on my floor, this is going to be engineered light that you see moving across the apartment building at the same time. And the remarkable occurrence of what is an unnatural environment is shown through not only the engineered light that's going to be dynamic, moving across as opposed to remaining stationary, and you're supposed to be foolish enough to accept that as sunlight, but you're not, because you have already been educated by the P.O.C. and you're fully apprised of all of the demonic methods and tactics of a demon-possessed entity that's engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring. You're going to see the people of the state demonstrate their demon possession while they are maintaining presence in the path amongst engineered light that becomes dynamic as they group stalk, okay, in concert with the state. That's what this is about.
They are engaging in monitoring in the private space as well. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, they're engaged in this act of terrorism, coming onto the grounds, engaging in the criminal elements, monitoring with the state and LAPD. That is the impossible light moving across the building while Ty-Yim.
Okay, not only is the light source over me while I am on
an entirely different part. That is the impossible light moving across the building while Ty-Yim.
An entirely different part of the property. I'm facing an entirely different direction. The sun that's outside of my living room window is not going to be right over my head and the parking lot beside Universal Waste Systems. Okay, that is indeed capturing the specific environment. And not only do you see, again, the hallmark of the light source, but you see the hallmark of what is engineered light. This is the evidence that the people of the state have provided against themselves, in addition to being present in this crime scene, the unnatural environment, in concert with the state, both of which are speaking to and establishing, okay, by clear and convincing evidence, the fact that the people of the state are group stalking with the state. Okay, and by virtue of just speaking to on a spiritual basis, the demonic environment is present because the demon possessed are group stalking in that unnatural environment. The fact that it's occurring, the presence of the crime scene is occurring through what is supposed to be assumed to be or mistaken for the natural environment, is serving for what is a massive system where everybody that is of that same condition are not coincidentally but systematically and intentionally engaging in what are the elements of monitoring. This is massive demonic activity, which is monitoring an American citizen, one person. A demon-possessed population. That is also reasonably construed. That's also what you reasonably deduct, in other words, from the crime scene that's occurring maliciously under the guise of a natural environment. That's why it's there for everybody all around to engage in that. The demons are sharing hands, engaging in it together. And you're supposed to be ignorant about the reality of demons that are operating over a population. Demons are spiritual. You cannot see them on the people of the state, but you are aware of their teamwork, and this becomes legally relevant because of the demonic nature of the government's criminal activity. It's therefore legally relevant. And the ability to recognize how the demons are utilizing the government and the people of the state to engage in criminal conduct, which it shall be held responsible for. You do not have a legal argument or anything legally relevant to claim, oh, Satan made me do it. No, they are acting of their own volition. They know exactly what they're doing. They're acting with malice. This is why you compose this is why you compose documents serving to engage in what is the provision of a warning, which is nothing other than, let me be clear, an accelerated means of finding yourself in federal prison for a long time. It's obstruction of justice. They're not ignorant. They act with intent. They act with malice. That's the danger of a demon-possessed population, by the way, that's seeking to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring. So I just want to hone in on this one more time. This is a specific environment, and the entity's light source is right over my head, not outside of my living room window of 1806, which, again, building 1806 is in this direction over here in this video. And if it's on the opposite side of my living room, which again, what you're looking at right here, then it's not gonna be over my head. Hold on, let me duck down. It's not gonna be over my head like you see it while I'm in the parking lot on the opposite side of my apartment living room window, and you see it right over me. That's speaking to what this person is doing in the path, and that's group stalking. And this person wants to do so through a commercial means. Oh, that's serving for the civil prosecution of a company. This is exactly what the people of the state are doing on an ongoing basis. It's exactly what Speaker Companies is doing. It's exactly what Speaker Companies is doing. Okay, so this is the light source, and this is the engineer light moving all across the apartment building. And I want to zoom in so you can see this demonic light activity, because this is what this is, demonic light activity, and it's the evidence of federal group stalking and monitoring, not the natural environment. That's audible activity.
Act of terrorism coming onto the grounds, engaging in the criminal elements, monitoring with the state and LAPD. That is the impossible light moving across the building.
I keep touching the screen, so I want you to witness this phenomenon over and over again.
Grounds, engaging in the criminal elements, monitoring with the state and LAPD. That is the impossible light moving across the building, while Ty Yim is in relevant position as well.
And that third party's name is actually Ty Lee. And I want you to also pay attention. You can see the demon possession of these two actors that are acting in stride. They are in sync, their physical movement. He closes. So let me break this down. Actually, this is not a third party that's, oh, I'm just going to my trunk and minding my business. I'm not even addressing the target individual. I'm not even aware actually that they might even be present, because I'm looking at my hood and I'm dropping my hood. I'm getting something out of my trunk, and then I'm going to go into my apartment because I got here just at the time that I got here, having nothing to do with the target individual. I'm just arriving, going home and walking into my apartment. This is what you're supposed to assume. Because there's no conversation, because let's even take away the fact that I happen to be the manager. It has nothing to do with the personal relationship of the entity. You are witnessing demon possession that's acting together over, again, the driver of this vehicle and the third party that's on foot. These are demons that are focused on me, and you know that through the unnatural environment. And I'm also giving you some added context. I want you to see what is the in-sync movement, which I've referred to as the demonic pacing. A demon wants to literally engage in what is pacing all around you. So a demon in the engineer light that's monitoring you wants to do this, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. This is clearly weird if Ty Lee stays in front of me, which would be very weird, obviously, because Ty Lee has no business being in my apartment. He's not welcome here. I don't know that demon, and he would never be welcome inside of my apartment, which is also why I'm going to prosecute him, because he has no business monitoring me while I'm inside of my private space, doing so in concert with the state that's stalking in helicopters in the specific environment, enabling that demon and his whole family to engage in federal stalking and group stalking in the specific environment. That's why you have engineered light, by the way, and that demon doesn't have to physically be present in my apartment to group stalk me inside of my apartment. That's the significance of the specific environment. It is the operation of what is entirely demonic, and it's very malicious. So in federal court, the demonic is referred to as what is malice, because that's what the demon possessed are. They are malicious, mentally disturbed psychopaths. As you are witnessing their behavior, that are decisions that they're making moment by moment, wanting to exude one thing. No one is fooled by that, and they continue to. That's how you're seeing the psychopath. No one is fooled by what you're doing. Everyone knows, including the federal government, which is what matters. No, the federal government knows exactly what you're doing and the ways in which you do it, and you also know that you're being documented, and yet you continue. Therein lies the mental illness. That right there. Those decisions that are being made with all of that knowledge, and by the way, the fact that they know is already established as the P.O.C. The entity engages in more of the elements of monitoring as you document it. That's not a coincidence, certainly not a coincidence in a specific environment. It's the pattern of conduct. It's literally engaging in what is stalking with activity creation, while you are documenting the fact that the entity is stalking you with activity creation while you are engaging in any physical movement operation of your phone. The demons engage in more of the demonic, which is terrorism upon terrorism, while you are enforcing your rights. Demons such as Ty Lee go to federal prison for that. Okay, so just want to give you some context. This demon is engaging in what is strategic placement. He's just waiting for this demon to cross path and have the engineer light move all across. And you also know that Ty Lee is focused on me and his group stalking because of the light source. This is what I'm telling you about the consistency of the specific environment where you are capable of deducing the facts that I am telling you regarding the state's criminal pattern of conduct. You are not making any unfair or unsubstantiated allegations against the people of the state, in other words, which I understand as a practitioner of the law about the ability to, you have to have facts and evidence to support whatever it is that you're charging for. Okay, so the nature of the crime is demonic, okay? And the fact that it is demonic is not some abstract term that also is incapable of being established with evidence. The specific environment is establishing what is demonic. It therefore becomes legally relevant, and there is a body of evidence establishing that. From the demonic, you are able to deduce the mind state, you're able to produce the malice. Legally relevant terms, relevant to what is, again, also the criminal act that's underway by a government, a corrupt government, very highly malicious, who is acting in concert with the people of the state. You don't see LAPD in this video. They're acting on behalf of LAPD, and LAPD represents the state of California, by the way. The state relies on the criminal conduct, the demonic behaviors, in other words, of the people of the state. You hear the car alarm in the background, that's audible activity. And these demons, this whole population of demons, they're already defeated. They are under a weight of evidence, which is serving for their federal prosecution, okay, of an astronomical level. They're all going to be prosecuted as terrorists, because that's exactly what they are. This is terrorism in the United States. Federal group stalking and monitoring is nothing small at all. Engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring is an exceedingly violent sex offense committed by the state in concert with the people. The government is not group stalking without the people. It's impossible. They can't do it without the people. They rely on the people of the state. So what you're looking at is strategic placement by a demon that's just standing outside of his trunk, but a demon wants to look like they're busy, they're unbothered, they're ignorant about your presence, nobody's paying attention to you. The target individual is making it up. Nobody knows what the target individual is talking about. The targeted individual is the center of the demon-possessed universe. That's literally why the sun rises and sets over me, okay? And it's not the sun, remember, it's the light source, okay? So this is the light source, and you're going to see in slow motion. Let me close my trunk. Hold on, let me zoom out so you can see. Let me close my trunk now while the light is moving across the building, and I'm going to move as that vehicle moves. They are in stride, in sync for purposes of pacing. That's what that is. They are in sync, okay? This is in sync movement in the engineered light, while the light source, which is not the sun, remains over me. And engineered light is moving all across this building, entirely demonic. None of this is sunlight. None of that is sunlight. And by the way, you can see it into the depths of the staircase. By the way, and as this third party, this is a demon operating a universal waste system vehicle. As this demon drives out, you can see it still moving across. It's over here. It's all across the wall while that demon drives off of the property, okay? Group stalking on the way in, group stalking all the way out. In concert with that demon that was standing at the trunk, Ty Lee, who's waiting to engage in what is closing the trunk, audible activity, and walking toward the front. That's called relevant positioning. That's what's significant about maintaining engineered light. As I walk by, the whole population is group stalking me. This is movement. This is crossing in the path while I'm inside of my private space and they maintain the specific environment. And where's the light source, which is not the sun? It's over me. It's remaining over me. And this is how I have what's here at 9 o'clock in the morning, 8:47 in the morning as I started this video, and the maintenance of that specific environment, which is under no circumstances happening at the same time.
Let me show you the time. Hold on.
The light source that's over me while you're looking at the demons of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. These aren't law enforcement agents, officers of a law enforcement agency. This is a terrorist organization. And the fact that they are indeed, exactly, I'm not being hyperbolic, is because of the unnatural environment where you're looking, the same exact pattern, which is captured through the unnatural environment. Let me be clear, there is no shared space, sky space, where the sun is going to be present over me while I am inside of my apartment at 9:03, and I'm showing you,
while Tai Yim is in relevant position.
Not only am I showing you this light source that's remaining over me while I am inside of my apartment, and I'm showing you the light source that's over me in Los Angeles. We can use in the parking lot at Alvarado Gardens. We can use inside of my apartment at 9:03, because none of it's ever naturally occurring at the same time, where the sun is directly over my head in this manner or in this manner. Right here, while it is remaining over me, while I am in the presence of the demons that are the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. So we're going to use, again, the same time, 9:03, because what's happening right now at 9:29 is the exact same thing that's happening at 9:03 when I started using this example, and the entity is maintaining the specific environment. And this is what I mean by the provision of evidence by a demon-possessed entity that's surrounded with evidence that it can under no circumstances escape. And this is also revealing the mental illness, because the entity will provide more evidence against itself. This is nothing other than serving for Satan to witness. And when I say the term Satan, okay, the name Satan is reference to what is, the devil is real, okay? The devil is a spirit. The devil uses people who are crossing path. That's 18065, who know that I'm exposing the Sheriff's Department. The demons engage in more criminal conduct. Again, literally, What the demons do while I am speaking to it it's a real thing. But nonetheless, I'm referencing the name Satan because Satan is real. Okay, Satan is real with regard to what is a spirit. Okay, so you cannot see spirit. Spirit is not physical. Spirit is essentially that. It's spiritual. You cannot physically see it. Satan is using a whole population of people, and this population includes the government in the state of California, unfortunately. This is unfortunate. This is shameful, because it's not the fact that the government can go home and worship Satan, which, by the way, I don't want any judge sitting in a bench in the state of California or on the California Supreme Court that bows down to Satan, because it has inevitable effects on their mind state. It really does, and their ability to be trusted. And there are positions that we entrust to government actors. We give them an overwhelming amount of deference, and that is literally rebutted by and it is an irrebuttable presumption of corruption, which is, again, the P.O.C. provides evidence substantiating it, supporting it, but there is an irrebuttable presumption of public corruption at every level where federal group stalking and monitoring is underway. And the entity is engaging in this conduct, and the reality of Satan, as I'm identifying it by name, because I'm referencing Satan, because Satan is present through all of the people. Satan needs a body. He needs a vessel. Okay? And he's using the people of the state to engage in his bidding. And it is also, as I'm referencing Satan, Satan is defeated because everything that Satan engages in is pursuant to the same exact conduct. Satan does the same thing over and over and over again. It is literally the pattern of conduct. Literally. Okay? So you're talking about the prosecution of a whole government that is serving Satan, and it's going to be its demise here on earth. The demon-possessed are going to federal prison. The demon-possessed are going to be removed from law enforcement. The demon-possessed are going to be removed from the courts in the state of California. And let me be clear, there are multiple levels where the pattern of conduct is underway. I've documented the P.O.C. at the appellate level. I documented the P.O.C. at the California Supreme Court level. The entity is not coincidentally engaging in what is facilitation, a very basic fundamental right of service of process. That's a freedom of speech issue. That was not an oversight. That was not a mistake. That was facilitation. That was obstruction of justice. It's an intentional criminal act by the entity, who is to date, by the way, enabled with ongoing surveillance. And so while you're looking at this light source, which is in the same exact position it was at 9:03 in the morning, where Jong Kim is providing evidence as to why they're going back to Korea. They're going right back after they sit in federal prison. That's where they belong. They don't belong in this country. They're not welcome. They can go back to Korea if that's what Korea is into, monitoring terrorizing American citizens with their government. That's not going to be tolerated in the United States. The entity is doing so while maintaining a light source over me, which is not the natural environment, which is revealing not only the criminal conduct of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, but it's also revealing, let me be clear, it's also revealing their condition, their secret. What does the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department not want you to know? That they bow down to Satan. They serve Satan himself. And let me be clear, that criminal conduct, that criminal act had an expiration date. And it literally it literally passed when the P.O.C. came about, showing the federal government that is blowing the whistle and also exposing what Satan is doing amongst a people in the United States, which is relevant to the rest of the world, because Satan is not only targeting what is this area, we are not the center of the universe. It's for such a time as this, what the demonic is engaging in, what Satan is doing amongst people, and it's relevant that the government, that Satan wants to use the government. This is also relevant for such a time as this. This is what the rest of the world needs to know about. And you need to be able to recognize Satan, the devices of Satan, who Satan uses, who is bowing down to Satan, who Satan wants you to never, ever, ever even suspect is affiliated with him. These are their secrets, okay? This is the entity keeping a light source over me at 9:03 in the morning. That's not seen outside of my living room window in Alpha Auto Gardens. By the way, where it's still remaining in the same position outside of my living room window into the afternoon. You think that's the sun that's over me, right over me in the same position where you see a demon crossing path, engineer light moving across the apartment building? So is the demon possession of the men and women of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. By the way, how do you see it exhibited? Oh, there's engineer light that's all across the building of the cafe where these demons were engaging in surveillance, not enjoying lattes. They were group stalking while bearing badges and aware of my presence. And so what do the demons do? Oh, they engage in, this is the time where we're going to walk out to our cars. Let me tell you what they're doing. They're pacing. The demons walk out in its demonic pacing one after another. They're monitoring while they're walking to their vehicles, and that which is not the sun is maintaining presence over my head in the same way that you see it over my head while I'm inside of my apartment, where you've seen the sun rise and sun set. I'm going to remind you about that specific environment, speaking to the criminal conduct that's underway that you see at the bottom of my screen, where the LA Sheriff's Department is engaging in what is terrorism. That is the grounds of, by the way, of disbanding in every state actor whose face you see going to federal prison. Going to federal prison. going to federal prison. Okay? This is the entity engaging.
These are the demons of the Los Angeles County Sheriff. They're standing under direct.
I want you to see the light source that's remaining outside of my living room window of Alvarado Gardens, where it remains. It's never over any cafe in Pomona. It remains right out here outside of my window. This is not over any cafe. It's over these demons in alignment to me at 1826 Lobdell. This demon standing on the roof because he's so desperate to engage in what is activity creation, failing to be a distraction, corroborating evidence against him and everybody else. The third-party property is going to be prosecuted for facilitation. In the same way that 1826 Lobdell place, engineer light moving across that gate, facilitation. Under what is a light source that's not the sun, facilitation. The crime scene, where the people of the state, they're all going to be prosecuted as the corrupt entity, the population that it is, engaging in terrorism in the United States, sharing no sky space over the Pomona Cafe at what is 1st and Main Street in Pomona, California, outside of the Pomona Transit Center.
Light.
This is demonic pacing.
You see it under the shaded areas.
Pay attention. The red vehicle, the red Civic, driving in the opposite direction. The sheriff's department walking in. These demons are pacing in opposite directions. Okay, you're looking at the same pattern. The light source is over me. You can see it through the window of the Honda that crosses path with me. The light source remains over my head as I am in the presence of demons whom you need to know are the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. You already know the demon driving the red vehicle. They represent the people of the state. It is, again, 9:03 in the morning. Pay attention to this.
Monitoring while directed light is crossing, while Foothill Transit 7 SME 37 now. While directed light is all over, that's...
I want you to see the light source through the window of this.
Angeles County Sheriff, they're standing under directed light. You can see it under the shaded areas. They're monitoring while directed light is crossing, while Foothill Transit.
All right, you see that light source through the window, just like you see at Universal Waste at the same time, okay? There is no mistaking what is the specific environment. This is not over my head at the parking lot of Alvarado Gardens.
Directed light is crossing,
So, I want you to see that because we're gonna make a hone in on this point right here.
Crossing.
Yeah, there's the light source right over my head. That is not seen outside of this window in my living room. That is not seen that you see through the window of this third party. This is crossing path. I'm in Pomona, California, coming from Ontario, where the entity was rising as though the sun was rising over the Ontario Museum, not outside of my living room window in Los Angeles, not over the parking lot of the Alvarado Gardens, the same apartment complex where you're looking at the light source over me at the same time in Pomona at the top. That's what you're looking up there. The two are not the same. It's not the same, and it's impossible. But you are seeing a pattern. While I'm in the parking lot of Alvarado Gardens, where do you see that light source? Through the window of a third-party group stalker? All right, and this is the same entity that drives by buildings, and engineer light moves all across that building. It's the same entity, this demon that's driving by in the red vehicle. The identification of a demon, the identification of a terrorist, a group stalker, who are sex offenders monitoring me now to date. It's the same entity. Inside of my apartment, using a leaf blower to engage in the elements of monitoring, because the demons go into a frenzy the more I expose their criminal conduct. Now let's pay attention to the demons that are monitoring in concert with the people of the state in this video, not sharing any natural environment, any sky space, such that the sun would be over me as I documented at the same time of year at the same exact time. Well, it remains here. Not only, and I'm by here, I mean down here at the bottom, I'm currently on camera inside of my apartment at 1806 North Alvarado Street. Apartment number 6 on the 3rd floor, facing the hillside, and I remain inside of this apartment as you see the sun set day in and day out, as you see engineer light that's appearing on the floor, and then it's appearing on the ceiling. No one has forgotten that. That's revealing the demon possession of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. While the entity thinks that there's some separation and that you've forgotten, the federal government has not forgotten, nor does any federal investigation forget any aspect of the criminal conduct, the criminal pattern of conduct. No one's forgotten that. This is directly relevant to the condition of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. They're in the same exact environment. So I want to be clear, and that's exactly what reasonably follows. The entity is maintaining this light source, and I want you to look at it while it's over me here, and look at it while it's over me, an impossibility, a phenomenon as I capture it on video.
SME 37 now. While directed light is all over, that's directed light. And then you're going to look at them. They don't have any form. This is the demon possessed. They've been engaged in surveillance, sitting inside of this little coffee shop. That's impossible light. Okay? This is P.O.C. That's the fake sun. It is, let me show you the time. Hold on. It is 9:04 a.m. 1353784.
And I stood standing right here throughout the entirety of this video, and 9:04, this is where the light source remains, and you know that it remains all day long. This is not the sun. This is speaking to criminal conduct by those that are wearing badges. This is the criminal activity that the entirety of the state of California engages in. Let me be clear. The law enforcement agencies, these are terrorist organizations that Satan is using to engage in, let me be clear, preparing for war against American citizens. That's the reality. That's why Satan is specifically using law enforcement agencies to engage in this monitoring conduct. These are those that are using helicopters, as the LAPD are showing you, to engage in what is lawlessness. Why are you stalking in a Why are you stalking in a helicopter at that? Multiple helicopters, clearly targeting. The entity is stalking in helicopters. That's already established beyond a reasonable doubt. By the way, the criminal level of requirement with regard to the legal standard. The state is stalking, and the state stalks by helicopters. That's already established beyond a reasonable doubt, not only because of the wealth provided by the LAPD, a terrorist organization, not a law enforcement agency, and the world needs to know that. This is the shameful truth with regarding what's going on in the United States, but also the pattern of conduct that the LAPD is engaging. It is in conformity to a long documented pattern of conduct of terrorist organizations masquerading as law enforcement agencies before I relocated to Los Angeles to capture the criminal conduct as I'm now here in LA. Now, I am in Pomona when I'm documenting this criminal pattern of conduct underway by the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, and I travel on public transportation. And that, by the way, that reality, that phenomenon of a light source remaining over me while I'm on the bus, on public transportation, that's captured. There's no provision for the sun to be outside of my living room window. It remains over me en route to Pomona, getting off, documenting the P.O.C, and getting back on the public transportation, the P.O.C remaining underway, and there's no provision that the sun would be outside of my living room window, rising, remaining, setting, as I'm documenting in LA. And by the way, as you isolate, as I have spoken to, you can isolate just the fact that it's here and remaining all day long. That's the crime scene where the P.O.C is underway. That is not only not the sun, neither is the sunlight, because you also are aware of the fact that the entity provides it all over inside of my private space. Let's remember what the entity is doing on a daily. None of this is sunlight. That's not sunlight. Okay, this is clearly demonic. It's like crayons. The illumination using crayons, it's very demonic. You can see the pattern of the blinds, and they're like moving all over the ceiling. And I just capture images of it. This is captured again. You could see the light activity changes. It's at 3:09 in the afternoon. This was yesterday, June 13th. Look at the timestamp, because this is what I'm documenting. It is the evidence of the demon possession of the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. Yes, indeedy it is. That's exactly what it is. All right. The entity is maintaining the specific environment around me because the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department are group stalkers. They are not dignified and professional men and women of a legitimate law enforcement agency. They are a demon-possessed terrorist organization, and they are secretly and failing. That secrecy is gone, long gone. They are a terrorist organization, and they're monitoring, and they're doing so in the most egregious manner. They're engaging in and holding hands to practice criminal conduct with the population, the people of the state, when they are sworn to serve and protect. That is not serve Satan and protect your criminal organization. That's not what the serve and protect means. That's exactly what they're doing, and they're failing in that endeavor. Okay, entering the P.O.C, that's exactly what the Lord Jesus Christ is exposing about them, and by them, that reveals the people of the state. The people of the state, and their downfall is indeed bowing to Satan. This is entirely demonic, and this is revealing the condition of those that are group stalking. Let me be clear, this is the ceiling inside of my bedroom. And this is in the middle of the afternoon, where, by the way, the entity is under no circumstances, has nothing to do with sunlight. As you can see my ceiling fan, the light is not on. You can see the pattern of the blinds appearing across the ceiling fan. This is no product of any light or lamp or anything that I'm creating. I've even captured it on video. You've seen the dynamic light, just like you see a demon driving a dumpster truck outside and the engineer light moves across the building. This is the engineer light that's being maintained inside of my private space, which is the evidence of a sex offender that's engaging in the pattern of conduct. And while I'm outside capturing the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department engaging in this criminal system, it is capturing what indeed are sex offenders, okay, that are, again, wearing the mask of hiding behind a badge. I'm going to take that badge. Hiding behind a position. I'm going to take that position. Okay, hiding behind some sort of reputation that you think that you've acquired while in that position. I'm going to take all of that. And by virtue of exposing the truth of what they represent and what they're doing and who they're doing it with and on whose behalf, and doing it on behalf of the defeated, that is Satan himself. This is revealing not only criminal conduct, but it's demonic. It's demonic. This is not sunlight that's appearing both on the ground and also on my ceiling. This is what I'm capturing inside of my bedroom at the same property. This is at 5:21 p.m. yesterday, where under no circumstances is the sun going to be in any position to create this. This has nothing to do with sunlight, and it's the same environment where you're looking at the light source outside of my living room window, and this engineer light that's on the floor. This is within the whole body of evidence. What was the entity? Oh, the entity was engaging in all kind of circus conduct with light inside of my bedroom as I documented it. This is above my bedroom door, and I'll just show you the timestamp as I go through it. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Let's go through 11 o'clock, 11:51 in the afternoon, in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 2:05. Just maintaining engineer light. This is appearing above my TV on a different wall. This is the pattern of the pattern of the blinds, which is not magnified in size. Now it's smaller, appearing on the side of my bedroom wall. And this is again the front. This is my bedroom door, so it's appearing on this wall, on this side wall right here where I'm tapping. This is where this light activity is occurring here. Just moving engineer light all across. So let's look at the timestamps, because the more I document the demonic environment that's maintained inside of my apartment, because the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, which represents the people of the state, which represents the state of California, it's the same entity as the LAPD. It's the same entity as the Ontario PD. It's the same entity as the Fontana PD. It's the same entity as the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department. It's the state of California. And they're acting with the people. And that's why, by the way, the entity is stalking heavily in helicopters, maintaining this demonic environment, which is engineered light, having nothing to do with the sun, because you know that this isn't the sun, but the sun is not capable of creating this light activity. It has nothing to do with sun. It's literally an admission, not only to your condition, but the fact that you're in relevant position, you're group stalking. You are nothing but a group stalker, period. That's why it's there. The entity is maintaining this specific environment. So this is speaking to the engineered light is all over as I captured. The light source remains over me as I capture the pattern of conduct. March 22nd, 2022, same time of year analysis applies. Engineered light is all over underneath the shade of this building. This is what I'm capturing.
6. This is Los Angeles County Sheriff engaging in what is federal group stalking and monitoring. They are demonstrating their demon possession. While they are here inside of the coffee shop, you see what is engineered light. This is impossible light. And this isn't even form. While the fake sun is over me in Fontana, this is not light activity that's going to occur, and it's dynamic light. What is it, ricocheting off of your door? That's a demon. This is P.O.C. This is all P.O.C.
This is the same pattern that you see inside of my apartment here, where the entity is maintaining the specific environment. The elements of what are monitoring are underway. Presence surrounds me. The engineered light surrounds me, and including the light source. Even as I remain inside of one building, that is the apartment, where I'm present in the morning, this light source is still present in the evening. Under no circumstances is that the sun. So let me give you an example of that. And this is what I'm capturing on an ongoing basis. This is the entity as I leave my apartment for the first time. After the entity broke into my vehicle, I got it repaired, and I drove my vehicle off of the property of Alvarado Gardens. Not the first time I left. Remember when I went to DMV on June 5th? Oh, the sun's not anywhere near. The sun's not anywhere near what is the living room window that you see it present again today at 9 o'clock in the morning. The same time I'm using the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department to compare that. Where was the sun at 8:47 in the morning as I documented on June 5th while Uber, the people of the state, drive me to that DMV at, I believe it's 1335 Glen Oaks. I'll remind you about where I'm at, and it's nowhere near what is the living room, seen outside of the living room window of my apartment. The entity is maintaining the light source over me while I am in an entirely different location, which is the Glenview DMV, where you saw the people of the state again demonstrating their demon possession by engineer light moving all across. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of this now, because I want you to see that, because this is the time, what time I started this video. It's 52 minutes. So this is about 8:50 something in the morning. The entity is maintaining the light source. On June 5th, 2024, the entity was maintaining the light source over me while I was at the DMV. And I maintained the ability to capture the video of the fact that the sun is never going to be outside of my living room window while it's over my head at the California DMV. And this is the same time where I'm at the DMV, and I remain there. June 5th, for example, this is where I'm at. I've got multiple videos. I'll show you, I'll remind you about what the entity is doing.
Pictures of them?
What is 9:09 in the morning. This is, again, I captured video at 8:47. I'm literally looking outside of this living room window. Let me show you the screen so you can see where I'm at, because I've captured, this video is 52 minutes long. I started right before 9 o'clock. So on June 5th, I'm already at the DMV at 8:47 in the morning. This is when I was capturing, I was speaking to that specific time in this video. 8:47, that's exactly what I was describing when I am in front of the laundry room, which is not in alignment with my living room window. Hold on, let me turn the camera on so you can see. Well, I am, hold on 1 second. While I am remaining in at the California DMV in Glendale, and I spoke to what is at Glendale, literally, while the light source is remaining over me here at 8:47, and I'm downstairs, which is not in alignment with my living room window. This is where the light source is. The light source, which I can't see beyond this location. This is what I'm always documenting. If the sun is over the laundry room window, outside of my leasing office, in other words, it would be, first of all, in this direction, and I wouldn't even be able to see it because of the obstruction of sight that this wall presents. So what I see outside my leasing office window is not outside of my living room window. And how do you know that? Because when I'm looking outside of my leasing office window, it's in the same manner, in alignment like this. I'm not looking in this direction like the sun is over there. You never see me looking far and wide. The light source is always right over me. Okay, stalking with light. And that's how you know everyone else is stalking, while the entity is in the environment stalking with light. That's identified by the light source. In addition to that, at 8:47 in the morning, while I was at the DMV, which you see at the top, and I captured a very powerful video to that end, that's where the light source is, over my head at the DMV. Not outside of the window, a leasing office. My apartment window is on at the same property where you're looking at the light source that remains here, not over any California DMV. And that's also the significance. The Glendale Police Department engaging in the pattern of conduct, as I documented on that day. And as you're looking at this light source that's right here over me, where the entity is stalking in helicopters, as I'm documenting, speaker companies and Carlo Lopez and Center for Better Life, terrorists that know that they've already been captured. And let me be clear, the federal government's going to treat you like the animal that you are. You want to behave like an animal. This is not name calling. You want to behave like a lawless animal, then you will be caged up like the threat you are, period. That's what terrorists are. Okay, so the entity, they're fully apprised of the fact that the entity is monitoring you on the venue of the internet via communication devices. And Center for Better Life, Carlo Lopez, you're not engaging in any job. You have no right to be present, creating audible activity, relevant positioning. You're a whole psychopath looking like that on video, to your own demise and to the demise of the company that's going to cease to exist after I get done with it in civil and criminal court. Okay, the entity is providing this evidence in an unnatural environment where I'm starting this video at around the same time, 9:09, where I'm in an entirely different location, which also, again, is not over my head in the same manner while I'm in Pomona, California, coming from Ontario, as I documented this Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. There's no shared sky space with me in the Glendale Police Department, who crossed paths as I captured this video. While that light source is nowhere near Alvarado Gardens like it is today outside of my living room window while I remain inside of my apartment. And under no circumstances does driving by a building create what is sunlight that ricochets off of your car or ricochets onto and shows up on the black ashy asphalt. That's the identification of what are the people of the state who are group stalking, and it's demonic. Okay, so this is the same entity that sought to obstruct justice by threatening employment. The entity is actually the employer. This is a third party. This is an agent of the state, not a legitimate business. This same entity sought to obstruct justice. And let me be clear, everybody affiliated with that is going to federal prison for it. The government shall not in any way threaten you while you enforce your rights to not be subject to its psychotic and demonic obsession of group stalking you. The government shall not, period. So let me be clear, 9:09 in the morning is not going to be seen over my apartment building. I've been here at the same position since I started this video, and the light source is in the same position. And not only that, you know that it stays here in alignment to me as though the sun is also setting while I stay inside of the same apartment. So this is the crime scene, and we're going to compare the crime scene to the crime scene as I documented on June 5th, where I leave the property of what is Alvarado Gardens, and I document the light source keeping in alignment with me as I do that. Let me be clear, the light source that's keeping in alignment with me as I drive to a different location, as I'm literally existing in a different location, for example, in Ontario, San Bernardino County, is not the same as keeping a light source over me over the apartment. The two are mutually exclusive, and the two are equally impossible. All right, and so the entity is maintaining a light source. You can see the DMV because that's exactly where I'm at, and you're going to see the light source not outside of any living room window at Alvarado Gardens. It's directly where I'm at, which is nowhere near here. It's directly over me. I want you to see the two together because this is serving for the prosecution of a whole population. Again, serving for criminal facilitation of federal group stalking and monitoring, which is a demonic system.
Pictures of them. 8YSP178 federal prison. 9DOJ182 federal prison. Engineer light moves across the building, going to federal prison. All right. 9FDN322.
All right. The entity is the people of the state. The people of the state are crossing paths.
Let Let me show you the time. Hold on. It is 9:04 a.m.
That is
13537.
relevant because you're looking at the light source that's remaining over me at the same time while I'm at the California DMV. That's very pivotal evidence, okay? So it's directly relevant. I'm giving you an example of the same. And this is, again, let me bring it back, a salient point. This is the entity that is seeking to obstruct justice by threatening employment where you're exercising your right to literally protect yourself and your right, your liberty, your ability to enforce your rights against a government that's monitoring you maliciously in concert with the people of the state who are exercising fictitious authority you're not even a legitimate company, you're a group stalker. The whole company is a group stalker. That's why its employees, that's why the workplace are the specific environment, and that's why the state is stalking at that specific environment. So what I'm capturing on June 5th is the specific environment, and I will show in what is the, I still have it, I believe I still have it on my phone here, June 7th. Oh, June 7th, hold on, let me see if I have it in screen recordings here for you to see it. I've already captured it, but if I deleted it already, as in not deleted it permanently, as in already put it on my, it's on the drive. So, okay, I have it, I don't have it in video, but I'm sure that I have it in still images where I captured the specific environment as I'm always taking pictures of the people of the state and the specific environment where I am subject to this pattern of conduct, and the entity is maintaining that light source that's directly over my head just for purposes of my speaking to it, because I would hate to have to log into it right now so you can see it. Let me see, this is June 5th, yeah. Well, I am capturing the P.O.C. arriving, and this is on June 5th, again, coming from the Department of Motor Vehicles. The light source resumes its position above the leasing office, not outside of my living room window, which is where it's going to remain today. The light source remains over me as I arrive at the property at my apartment building at 11 o'clock in the morning. This is the same date, right? June 5th, 11 o'clock in the morning. The light sources are remaining in the same position. Let me point something out. This is pretty powerful right here. The light source is remaining as I started this video at 8:47. This is the same location. It's not funny. It's just so pathetic. This is what I mean by, this is how you treat Satan. Satan is a liar. And so you document the criminal conduct of the entity that's engaging in this criminal conduct against you. The light source is here as I started this video at the tail end of the 8 o'clock hour. My documentation on June 5th, where I come from DMV, the light source is directly over my head at this same exact apartment building, which again, the entity is suggesting that the sun is a stationary object and it would still be here, as you just saw in the still image over my head as I stand in front of my apartment building, and the light source is directly over the top of my head right here. That's what you just saw in the picture. This is this apartment building, 1806. That's the significance of documentation. So I just want to open that back up so that you can see that. Because that is, hold on. Camera. Here we go. Camera. This is camera. March, April. Here we go. June. So first of all, when I am at the DMV, the light source is remaining over me at the DMV. This is what I'm capturing. I started this video. This is the DMV. I started this video at around the same time. I'm inside of my apartment at 8:41 this morning. The entity is sounding helicopter activity at around the same time. I'm at DMV on June 5th, 2024. And this is what I'm capturing. The light source is directly over my head. This is not over or seen outside of the living room window of Alvarado Gardens. The people of the state and the California Department of Motor Vehicles represents the state, and the state is group stalking. And there's a pattern by literally the California Department of Motor Vehicles group stalking the DMV in Rancho Cucamonga and the DMV at this is 9:08 in the morning. Again, this is where I'm located, where I'm showing video. The light source is directly over my head, as I stated. You can see the time, 9:08. This is my position where I remained today. During the course of this video, I'm remaining here. And this is the light source that is not going to be in any position that is similar. And so, just for purposes, because it's so you can see very clearly the object and not my fingerprints as I'm documenting all the time. So I want you to see, and the entity is stalking in helicopter, which you already know. That's what I documented. That's why Carla Lopez and everybody's going to federal prison. That's literally beyond what is the point by now. The LAPD, including Dominic Choi, who sought to threaten employment, he's going to federal prison for that. The entity that they literally pick and choose what evidence they want to use to try to obstruct justice, and that's, I'm referencing the warning by the entity, the people of the state that issued a warning. He's going to federal prison for being the source of that documentation, while the entity is engaged in what is demonic pacing, failing to be a distraction. Where are they pacing? They're pacing in the specific environment. The light source is over me. Let's zoom out so you can see that. That's the entity that's group stalking, and this is not any shared sky space of what is the California DMV at Glendale. And that is, again, the real-time knowledge of the fact that they're being documented. That's what the Glendale Police Department is doing as I captured them in video appearing in a vehicle as I'm documenting the people. Glendale Police, those two officers that I documented on this day, they're going to federal prison. I documented their presence. There was a driver and a passenger. I documented the license plate. They arrived to communicate a threat just like the entity does right now as I am speaking to what is the pattern of conduct, and I want you to very clearly see that light source, so that's why I had to go ahead and wipe it for your convenience. But I'm heavily documenting, so that's the reason for that. But I want you to, because I have to do just like that, I want you to see exactly what the entity is doing, stalking in a helicopter, doing so in the specific environment. That's an awful communication. The federal government just witnessed what is the criminal act of obstruction of justice, threatening your life by arriving in relevant position while they know that you're documenting and exposing the entity and doing so to their own demise. You know that they're stalking me because of the unnatural environment. You know that they're stalking me because of the substance of what I'm speaking of, and the entity engages in a pattern of arriving to communicate a threat while I'm documenting them. Okay, so the entity is doing so. So the entity is providing ongoing evidence regarding the exact example that I was going to give you. This is captured at 9 o'clock in the morning. 9:08 to be specific. This is exactly where I stood today outside of my living room window, 9:08 in the morning. This is very powerful evidence. I'm documenting the entity group stalking by the Glendale Police and the people of the state. At 9:08, there's no shared sky space that's going to be out. There's no sun that's going to be outside my living room window. While I am also in Pomona, California, amongst the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department at 9:03 in the morning. Same time of year and same time analysis applies. It's impossible. It is the phenomenon. And I've got 3 law enforcement agencies that are engaging in what is the pattern of conduct, and it is identified through the unnatural environment at the same time. And there is more beyond. I'm just giving you a sample. I have the prosecution of a terrorist organization shared amongst the Fontana Police Department, the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, the Glendale Police Department, the Los Angeles Police Department, and the if I did not already mention, the Upland Police Department and I believe I've been in Montclair. Yeah, Montclair Police Department. I documented, and I'm just speaking about the totality. I've documented the P.O.C. As I'm just off the top of my brain, remembering the group stalking by the state acting directly through the terrorist organizations. They're not law enforcement agencies. They're terrorizing American citizens, group stalking, and they're practicing a demonic method of stalking. And I'm doing so through the unnatural environment. All of those corrupt law enforcement agencies are netted together, engaging in the P.O.C. Throughout the body of evidence, which shows the criminal system that they're practicing as one, as I have documented them, all of them. So that's just a sample, okay? The entity is maintaining this unnatural environment while Glendale Police at the top are crossing path under what is not possibly the sun. While you see it over me here, and LAPD stalking in a helicopter, you know that they're stalking me because that's not the sun. This is the light source that's still here at the end of the day, shared amongst what is impossible light activity that's not sunlight, appearing on all the walls and ceilings inside of my apartment. While who remains present? All of the population, the people of the state, are group stalking together. And you also know that because on this day in June 5th, where I am, again, nowhere near my living room, this is where the light source remains from the beginning till right now. It's currently 10:04 a.m. This is where the light source remains as I am at the DMV on this day, June 5th. And as I am at this location, this is where Glendale Police cross path. And they do so communicating a threat in the same way that the LAPD just did in a helicopter crossing path. And this is another law enforcement agency? No, this is another terrorist organization communicating a threat pursuant to a pattern. As I document the people of the state, so the state communicates a threat. This is how the entity's ongoing criminal conspiracy to group stalk together and the
foolish idea that you can protect. You don't protect the people. You literally incriminate them. You document the people who shows up. Oh, the state shows up, thinking that you're not helping, and you're certainly, because you want to seek to terrorize. You go to federal prison. Everybody's going to federal prison. So it's relevant who's being documented. Oh, the people are being documented. You document by license plate, because that's exactly the specific knowledge that the entity acts with when you are exposing them, when you're documenting them. So as you're documenting Mary Jane's license plate or taking her image, and the entity wants to fly over the top of your head in a helicopter, Mary Jane's going to federal prison for even longer. Okay? Because that law enforcement agency is already going to be handled. Okay? That act of terrorism is plain on its face. And the entity is engaging in what is acting and threatening in concert on behalf of the people that is Mary Jane. That's how that system acts. That's how the demons act together. This is the engineered light by the people of the state. Metro is a group stalker. Engineered lights moving across the asphalt. So take a look at that again. Go ahead and take another look at that demonic activity by a commercial actor, just like Universal Waste. All over the asphalt on the ground. That's not sunlight. And nor, again, look at the time. It's 9:09. I'm standing here at 9:09 in the morning right now. So what is Metro driving under? The same thing that LAPD is flying under. That's over my head, and it's a phenomenon. It's not the natural environment. And that's also not sunlight that's moving on the asphalt while a third party, notably driving a commercial vehicle, which just means I'm going to prosecute that company for engaging in facilitating terrorism and making money to my demise while doing so. That's served for punishing the people of the state. All right, an illegitimate business engaging in facilitating terrorism. Okay, and these are the dark angels of LA. They call themselves the angels, the city of angels. They're the city of dark angels. They're not lying about that. But there's nothing good about that. There's nothing to be proud of either. This is revealing what is terrorism that's going on amongst those in LA. And as I'm documenting, by the way, the city of dark angels at the Glendale DMV, the entity is engaging, and the people of the state are exhibiting their demon possession while the light source that you see over me, remember the context, I'm here capturing the light source, 9 o'clock in the morning, this is where it is, this is where I'm standing with the people of the state at 9:08. I still stand here at the same location moments later at what is 9:09 a.m. I'm standing at the same location where you're going to see the people of the state exhibit their demon possession while they are driving in the street. It's a large, broad street, and engineer light is moving across the building of the DMV, and the light source is directly above my head at the DMV. That's what you saw in the picture that I captured moments later. I immediately went into video because the entity sought to engage in what is communicating a threat, an additional threat, the highest threat, by group stalking by a corrupt law enforcement agency. Everybody's going to federal prison there. Okay, so everybody that you document acting with the state in your face, the government thinks it's going to threaten your life in your face. Okay, no, that's how you're neutralizing that threat. You're breaking that whole psychotic system down. Everybody that wants to participate in that goes to federal prison. And I literally documented license plates in the form of what is traffic. All the demons that are driving behind Glendale PD on video in a specific environment, they're all going to federal prison. Okay, that is terrorism that is not going to be tolerated in the U.S. And that's literally the operation of that system, and it's demonic. That's capturing all aspects of that P.O.C. and its demonic activity. And it is under no circumstances shared with what you're looking at now, that which is a light source outside of my living room window, which the entity, by the way, arrives with this light. And I put that in air quotes because it's not the natural environment, it's the demonic. So the demonic environment unveils a light source that's initially covered up as I begin documenting the group stalking by LAPD in concert with Carlo Lopez at Center for Better Life, Christopher On, all of whom are going to federal prison. The driver of that vehicle of Center for Better Life, heavily documented. Okay, the impunity, that psychopath. This is the demon that found it funny as he was being documented. His mental illness is manifest. Okay, he's going to federal prison. All right, the entity is doing so. And as I begin documenting it, so arrives the light source. Again, evidence against the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, the Glendale Police Department, the Los Angeles Police Department, the Ontario Police Department, while I remain in Ontario at this time of year, going to the library every day. And those demons are engaging in what is stalking in helicopters day and night, and engaging in what is the ongoing presence while I document the light source remaining over me at literally one location as I sit at the library all day long at 215 EC Street in Ontario, California, which is not shared with the living room window. And it's not possibly the sun while the entity keeps the light source while I'm over in the same apartment all day long from the beginning till the end of the day. That's serving for what is the federal government's ability to prosecute public corruption in the state of California amongst these terrorist organizations in Southern California. That's a lot. And that's just a sample. The federal government can bear much fruit with the evidence that I have provided to them. The entity is acting in concert with the people, and that's what you're going to see at the top. All right, this is captured at, the video starts at 9:09 a.m. Like I stated, I'm remaining at the same position. This is not what you see, the light source that's over me at the DMV is not seen and not possible to be that which is occurring outside of my living room window. That's speaking to the specific environment, meaning the entity, which is demonic, maintains an engineered environment around me, centered on me, while demons drive all around, and you're supposed to think that that's just traffic. You're supposed to think, oh, that's just a leaf blower, somebody's doing landscaping. No, they're engaging in elements of monitoring. They're demons, and they're targeting me. And that is also seen through the unnatural environment, like I said here, Exhibit A, the engineered light that's on my floor. And so that's why I went through, gone ahead and used this engineered environment to provide another video for the masses to learn from, for what is already the complete and comprehensive prosecution of a corrupt entity, that is speaker companies, that's acting pursuant to this pattern of conduct, and then threatening employment. That is the livelihood of the ordinary target individual who is already subject to terrorism. Imagine, it's not ordinary harassment. All right, it's not some insecure bully, okay, that is targeting you at work. It's the government that's using everyone and everything in the environment to target you, and of a demonic nature, in ways, in other words, that the targeted individual may not even be able to understand or comprehend or process. And this is occurring in the workplace. And then that that demonic activity that is centered around you, that terrorism that you're subject to in the workplace, is literally enhanced by threatening your ability to document what is conduct that you shouldn't even be subject to in the workplace. And the psychopaths composing that letter maliciously under the guise of being an employer, they're the ones that are engaging in that criminal conduct. You go to federal prison. You don't pass go. You don't collect $200. You go straight to federal prison for that. And they just, the whole corporate office, they're all going to federal prison. Okay, so I want to be clear. It's 10:12 a.m. I have been remaining at the same location. You're going to see the people of the state while a light source is over me at this DMV building on June 5th, 2024. Which is capturing the phenomenon, and also the phenomenon, the people of the state, the demons that are group stalking you at work, like you see Carla Lopez exhibiting their demon possession while they are driving on the street. It's not traffic, it's called pacing, demonic pacing, one vehicle after another, while the light source is over me, not over the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department at the cafe outside of the Pomona Transit Center, not over the Alvarado Gardens parking lot while Universal Waste is driving by on the opposite side of my apartment building, where the sun is not going to be captured through the window of that vehicle that's driving out of the apartments. While I'm again at the opposite end of the apartment building, it keeps closing because I'm not using the camera, so it's an automatic function. While I'm at the opposite side of the apartment buildings and I'm outside of my leasing office, that's not here. That's not in alignment with here, this location. The light source remains over me wherever I go. That's where the light source remains. And this is the condition of the environment where the people of the state that you see driving on the roads and the highways, these are demons. This is demonic pacing, one crossing path after another, after another, after another. An engineered light moves across the DMV building, which is the pattern of conduct. That's, again, a phenomenon to happen once. In other words, the demon-possessed garbage man, he's not just group stalking you by himself. Oh, it's the whole population. That's why I'm capturing the phenomenon while I go to the DMV. And the light source is over my head, having nothing to do with what is a distinct method of engaging in what is stalking in the path of engineered light, that is engineered light moving all across the building. The same environment that's inside of my apartment, it's just stationary. So the whole population can keep me under surveillance, stalking in helicopters and airplanes, stalking while they're walking on the sidewalk like the Jones, crossing path from 1806 number 5, like the demon on top of the roof using a leaf blower, engaging in the elements of monitoring, the demon calling himself an employee of speaker companies with a leaf blower, walking on the grounds of speaker companies while the entity sounds helicopter activity. That's the elements of monitoring, okay? The entity does so while keeping somebody under surveillance inside of a private space. This is a sex offense. And this is, again, the pattern of conduct that's happening outside, having nothing in common with this is no natural environment as I capture this phenomenon. This is P.O.C.
YSP 178, Federal Prison. 9DOJ 182, Federal Prison. Engineer light moves across the building, going to Federal Prison. All right, 9FDN 322.
All right, I want you to see that one more time so you can see it across the building. And this is the entity that, again, the entity that is woefully unprepared for its exposure and federal prosecution is literally relying on your ignorance, and nobody is ignorant, especially not the federal government, okay? The federal government is not ignorant about what is going on here, and the, unmistakable pattern of conduct by the people of the state. So no one is forgetting, no one is forgetful
of the specific environment, which is a phenomenon. I mean, no one's going to forget it because it's so unforgettable. The fact that this ability to capture scientific impossibility, the scientific impossibility is present over my head at that DMV, which is not shared with what's happening outside of my living room window, where again, it remains, because that's how I'm able to capture a sunset while the entity keeps the light source in alignment to me, as though the sun is still going to be here in any position where I could see it. After 6, 7, 8, even 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it's still outside of my window, while engineer lights all over my ceilings in my apartment. But right now it's on the floor. And no one's forgetting all of that. And this is where the entity is stalking in helicopters, okay? Let me be clear, at this distance, this is where the entity is engaging what is the demonic, that is amplifying the sound of helicopter activity. This is the grounds of removal of a terrorist organization while they engage in the demonic sounding helicopter activity inside of my apartment where they're flying at this distance. Right now, the audible activity is my voice. When I'm inside of my apartment and the entity is flying at already a great distance, being demons, flying in circles over and over again, like you saw them do for 47 minutes, amongst which was engineered light. This was engineered light that was covering all of these demons that are going to be prosecuted, not sunlight, because at 6 in the evening, the sun is going to be in no position, like where you see it right here. There's still not going to be any position of the so-called sun that would be creating any sunlight across this hillside, where you saw those same demons flying in circles. And by those same demons, I don't mean that same particular one who's flying right now necessarily wearing a diaper, heavily stalking so much, but I mean the one that was flying in a helicopter. It's the same entity, the same LAPD, representing the state. Flying in a circle for 47 minutes is what they did right here, while the evidence of all the criminal conduct by the people of the state is covered in the presence of what is not only the state, but also the engineered light that covered this hillside after 6 o'clock in the evening. That's not sunlight. That wasn't sunlight. That was evidence against them. So that's the entity that's stalking in a helicopter right now. And this is the entity that's group stalking while they're pacing on the roads and the highways. This is relevant to what is also federal stalking using communication devices. And this is, again, no shared environment while the light source is remaining over me here. Oh, that's not possibly the sun that's over them while I'm at the DMV. You already know that. And it's also not sunlight that's appearing on the side of the DMV while the entity provides me this evidence today, because I'm documenting Carlo Lopez and speaker companies, everybody working for speaker companies, the men and women of the Los Angeles Police Department, Dominique Choi, all of them are going to be prosecuted for the terrorists that they are. Let me be clear. It's no distraction whatsoever. So I want you to see very clearly this engineer light that moves across as I turn up this, make sure that you can see it.
Pictures of them. 8YSP178 Federal Prison. 9DOJ182 Federal Prison. Engineer light moves across the building, going to federal prison. All right.
Alrighty.
9FDN322.
That's capturing what is impossible. That's never naturally happening.
Engineer light moves across the building, going to federal prison.
All right, one more time for those in the back.
EOJ182 Federal Prison. Engineer light moves across the building, going to federal prison.
All right, and they're going to federal prison again because the entity arrived engaging in group stalking via the Glendale Police Department as you enforce your rights and document the people of the state who are indeed engaging in what is state terrorism. That is keeping you under surveillance. A population of the demon-possessed who have monitoring spirits on them. That is, again, the demonic spirit, demon possession is what I'm referencing, and they're engaging in a demonic activity, and it is literally witnessed through the engagement of what is engineer light moving across the building. That's demonic, and that's going to be prosecuted as an act of terrorism via directed light. Directed light is instrumental, it's core to what is the group stalking system. It is literally what's inside of my apartment right here. This is not sunlight, and also the entity is surrounded by evidence as I captured this at what is 9 o'clock in the morning, but yet while I am remaining, and this is exactly, again, 9:15 in the morning. It's currently 10:19 in the morning. This video is at 1 hour and 22 seconds. This is the time where I am looking outside of my living room window, but yet I'm capturing it remaining over me at the DMV. This is, let me be clear, the location of the
pictures
DMV,
of them.
while I am remaining at the intersection of Glenview and Rosedale is not seen out of what is What is my living room window? The intersection of Rosedale and Glenview.
Okay, so just speaking to what is, again, under all circumstances, you're able to see that P.O.C. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct with real-time knowledge as I'm documenting the light source that arrives. Again, as I start documenting the P.O.C., as I start dropping names and company names and people who are going to federal prison, oh, suddenly the light source arrives immediately. It's not even the natural environment. This is speaking to what, let me be clear, the blinds are closed. Okay, and you have what is the engineered environment, the ability to create light activity. In other words, based on my movement of my hands, this is very seamless ability to create light activity. This in and of itself has nothing even to do with the light source, because you see the engineered light inside of my apartment where the light source is not even present. This is what I'm documenting. And let me be clear, Carlo Lopez, he's going to federal prison. Okay, he's a sex offender. He's monitoring me inside of my private space. The entity is sounding helicopter at 8:32 in the morning as I exercise my right and every other American citizen subject to the government keeping you under surveillance in concert with the people in a malicious and demonic manner, which is a threat to your life and your well-being. While this entity also wants to threaten the ability of employment while they're terrorizing you, you're a delusional psychopath. You're going to federal prison for that. All right, the entity is engaging in this conduct, and as you document it, okay, engaging in what is the arrival of the light source. And so that provides more ability to provide a vivid illustration for you for what is the malice that the entity engages in. Under no circumstances is there any position of the sun that's going to create sunlight on my ceiling inside of my bedroom. Inside of the same apartment. But again, what's the demonic pattern of conduct? Oh, this is occurring while the sun is over you. All right, and you're looking at the same environment where, again, it's on my ceiling, that is above my head, but outside of the living room window, the sunlight is appearing at a downward trajectory. It's nothing other than engineered light. And this is what I want to speak to. And so this is what I'm capturing on an ongoing basis while I am maintaining presence here. So I just wanted to show you in images because I didn't have a video, but there is a wealth of documentation showing the maintenance of the light source while I remain at the same location. And so let's see.
And that's speaking to what is criminal presence. That's speaking to what is the state surveillance that's underway. And it's entirely demonic. This is prosecution for, hold on. All right, I am in my hallway, and you're looking at what is engineered light in my hallway where I have no lights on. So this is my bedroom. Opening and closing the door.
Oops, I'm sorry. I don't know.
Light, the pattern of the blinds magnified in size. This is impossible light activity. This light is appearing.
This is 5 o'clock. So this is what you're looking at right now. I'm facing this living room window from my hallway at 5 o'clock in the evening, where the light source is still over me. I'm inside of the same exact apartment. That's what you're looking at right here. I'm standing in the hallway. I'm in the dark hallway, and engineered lights appearing on the hallway inside of this hallway right here on the ceiling. And this is at 5 o'clock in the evening. That's what you're looking at right now. That's what I'm capturing on video. The appearance of, again, what's the same analysis? The appearance of engineered light that's appearing on the floor, and you're supposed to be so foolish to assume that that's even the sun, but you know better. You've got the whole, the P.O.C. speaking to what's an entirely impossible occurrence, that the sun is, while I'm at the same time in an entirely different location, such as the DMV, or such as being in Ontario, California, is not going to result in what is the sun over you at the same time in the same position, let alone while I'm here, it's all day long over me, which is the substance of what I'm capturing here. Inside of the same apartment at 5:28 in the evening, I'm inside of the same apartment, and you're looking at engineered light appearing above my head inside of my dark hallway.
All right, I am in my hallway, and you're looking at what is engineered light in my hallway where I have no lights on. So this is my bedroom. Opening and closing the door.
The light source is outside of my bedroom window at 5:28 in the evening, having nothing to do with the engineered light that's on the ceiling. And in the same way, the engineered light that you see on the floor has nothing to do with the light source that's currently above my head. This is a demonic environment. The ability of that light source to arrive and or be covered up, which under, again, with ignorance, it's just a cloudy day. The clouds appear and cover up that. No, it's the demonic. It's not a natural environment under any circumstances. And literally, as I speak, based on what I do, it literally is affecting not only the behavior of the demons that surround, but the unnatural environment as I expose the crime scene. That is the demonic environment where the people of the state, the demon possessed, are group stalking. while that entity is again engaged in real-time surveillance. And so this has nothing to do with the sunlight, has nothing to do with the light source. The two are separate, two distinct methods of stalking with engineered light. In the same way that the engineered light that's moving all across surfaces and the asphalt while people of the state are pacing all around, those are two distinct methods because they are independent of each other. And as you see the light source appearing on my ceiling inside of the dark hallway, while the light source is in no position where you would provide some sort of connection, but this isn't even connected because the appearance of this light, this is the sun that's above us, is not going to do gymnastics underneath a covering and to appear on the inside at a downward trajectory. That's not sunlight. The sun is not going, you're talking about a necessarily angled light activity in order to appear through what is also magnified. The character of the light's not even natural. The blinds are closed. There's not going to be any sunlight in here. Period. The sunlight would remain outside, but in addition to that, you have what is, so at this time, it wants to appear at a downward trajectory. It's in my bedroom, both on the floor and on the ceiling, okay? You have what is engineered light that's creating my shadow that's appearing up here. You have what is multiple shadows that you can see for the ceiling fan. None of this is natural light. It's an entirely demonic environment. You're just ignorant about it. In addition to that, you are then informed about the significance of what the demons are doing, turning on your hazard lights in the engineered environment. That's a criminal act. Walking by in the engineered environment, that's a criminal act. Presence in helicopter, which represents the government, that's a criminal act. The entity is doing so in this same apartment at 5 o'clock in the evening. What you do know is that where the entity is engaging in this conduct of stalking with this engineered light, the entity is also engaging what is stalking with a light source, which is what I'm capturing inside of my apartment at 5. It is not relying on the presence of the light source to appear, for engineered light to appear. Understand that the significance of what I'm explaining. This is like the pattern of the blinds magnified in size. This is impossible light activity. This light is appearing in the hallway while the bedroom door is cracked. My room is illuminated with engineered light. And then you also see the concentrated method of engineered light, which reaches out into the hallway as well. This is magnification. All right, this time frame, 9 o'clock. I started this video at approximately 8:55, we'll just estimate. 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 hours later, there is no sun that's going to be in any position to create any of this light. That's obvious. And nor is this character of this light anything even remotely close to sunlight. This is what the entity is doing, stalking in the environment, in an unnatural environment for the criminal purposes of the people of the state. Acting in concert with that state that you have seen, I believe 3 times, stalking in helicopter, flying, group stalking in plain sight, crossing path. They are stalking in plain sight. The federal government recognizes that this isn't the sun over me. That's the identification of stalking by the government in plain sight. That's very foolish for that whole police department to engage in. And the entity has been doing so, for a prolonged period. And that is to the demise of speaker companies who provided a document serving for what is obstruction of justice while they are literally engaging in the evidence monitoring intentionally and knowingly for the purpose of facilitating the state's criminal pattern of conduct. This is the light source that is remaining while I'm inside of the same apartment, and I'm showing the engineered light outside of my bedroom window. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure you could see that documentation between the hours of 8 in the morning and 6:30 in the evening. While I am literally inside of that venue capturing the light source, looking at it. None of this is coexisting with the light source that is remaining, first of all, over the property for the duration of the day as it's rising through my living room window and setting through my bedroom window. And nor is it capable of coexisting with this as being visible.
Okay, this is outside of my bedroom window at 5:28 p.m. This is captured May 7, 2024. My bedroom window is down this hallway. So that's where I'm standing. I'm standing in my dark hallway, and at 5:28 in the evening, engineered light is appearing on the ceiling inside of that dark hallway, and I am facing my living room window from right here in the beginning of the video. At 5:28 in the evening, engineered light's appearing up here. The pattern of the blinds is appearing up here. And then I show you what is, under no circumstances, going to be the sun. Hours from now, I started this video at 8. We can even start from right now. You will never have the natural environment. 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 hours from now, it takes 7 hours for the sun to be seen on the opposite side of the same apartment at 5:28 p.m. and suggesting that sunlight, the same pattern of maintaining engineered light, aiming all manner of engineered light, concentrating. This is the ongoing hovering psychotic stalking of a whole population while engineered light and the light source is honing in, hovering over me all day long. And that's capturing what you are seeing below while I'm at the same property. This is not over, for example, the California DMV at Glendale.
and where I was at 9 o'clock in the morning. The entity is suggesting that, oh, it just looks, this is, and I'm giving this, it's not even logical. It doesn't make any sense, but this is what the entity, you are necessarily suggesting some asininity. So the entity, you're suggesting, oh, this is the sun that's also over 215 EC Street in Ontario, California. It just appears as though it's over your apartment window in alignment with you, and everyone has the same experience. The sun is maintaining presence in this same manner for the duration of the day, no matter where you are, no matter whether you travel or not, all day long. Which is absolutely impossible, and it's ridiculous. It's absurdly idiotic, okay? It's a scientific impossibility. As you are looking at what is the light source that's over me right now, I started this video at approximately 8:55, 8:56, and I am still inside of the same apartment it's currently 10:29. Whoo-wee, boy, the light source is remaining over the over Family Community Library right now, as I documented on June 16, 2022. And it's over the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court at 8303 Haven Avenue in Rancho Cucamonga, California, the courthouse that I'm going to prosecute. That is not going to be seen outside of my living room window. In addition, you have what is capturing, that's surrounding the whole entity, by the way, because there is no sun that's going to remain present, visible in any manner in Los Angeles, which is what I'm showing you right now. The duration of time, I started this video at approximately 8:56 in the morning, and it's still present in a manner where I can see it, and so-called sunlight is aiming inside of my apartment, because that's what the entity suggests. Oh, that's the sun and that's sunlight, and you're going to hold the government, the federal government's going to hold the state to that while they're engaging in what is terrorism. It is the prima facie case. It is providing evidence against Lisa Rogan, an entity that engaged in what is group stalking, while this is under no circumstances the natural environment.
To the entrance doors of the Ovid Family Community Library, just to give you an example. That's called stalking with light, and it's in the depths of my dark hallway. And that's speaking to what is criminal presence.
So just so that, again, you are aware of what you are looking at, the entity is engaging in what is evidence, suggesting that the sun is remaining over Alvarado Gardens, where I remain in conformity to a pattern of conduct where the people of the state are indeed engaged in group stalking. That's exactly what you're looking at as they are engaging what is pacing. It's not traffic. That is, again, amplification of a demon exhibiting hostility while that third party drove on Alvarado Gardens, just as I pointed out. This is the unnatural environment where the people of the state are aware of the fact that their criminal conduct is being captured, and you are looking at the, I would never engage in criminal conduct either, period, under any circumstances, but you have where you are exposing the entity, literally the government that you're group stalking with is serving to convict you while you are witnessing them group stalking on video throughout this 1 hour and a half long video. You're seeing them group stalking, and it is evidence against the people of the state that are stalking in that unnatural environment where I'm showing you the light source over me from approximately 8:55 till what is 5:28 p.m., which is relevant to what I captured on May 7, 2024. In addition to that, I'm going to remind you about, again, what's not happening at the same time outside of my living room window. Oh, and the sun is over the courthouse at the same time. Do you think so? I'm going to let you know that it's not. It's impossible.
Or this is an entity that's...
It is the pattern of conduct, and not only is the light source over me, the entity is stalking with engineered light that moves across the court building while 6 WDD 588 crosses path. Yeah, it's moving across the brick wall. Pay attention to the driver's side. It's moving all across the wall. My hands are, I'm narrating the crime scene, but as you review the light activity on this wall right here, you can see even the tail end of it. Engineer lights moving across the wall while that third party crosses path. And they're crossing path in the phenomenon where the sun is not going to be seen outside of my living room window. I am nowhere near Los Angeles on this day and time in 2022, nor are the two happening at the same time. This is revealing the criminal system that's underway and the crime scene that is the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. It is as incriminating as the crime scene at the California Department of Motor Vehicles. This is the state of California that is indeed a group stalker. This is the light source that's over me. Oh, there's no shared sky space.
All right, I want to show you what is the light source that is directly over. This is the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court. This is the back portion, documenting what are the state actors, Allied Universal. This is light activity while you're moving around under the engineered light. This is criminal monitoring. It's also you're looking at a demon that is creeping and crawling. It's called crossing path. License 6WOD 588. That's a method of light activity using the turn signal. Doing so under the fake sun.
All right, the light source is directly over me in the manner that you see it over me while I'm inside of my apartment in Los Angeles. That is, and this again, and you already know the light source is remaining over me in Los Angeles as I capture video at 5:28 in the evening. Where you're also aware of the character of this light that's not even sunlight. It's all over the ceilings, all over the walls, traveling across the floors and up from the floors up in the upper moving, growing, literally, like it's entirely demonic, the character of this light. This is all manner of prosecution of an entity that's engaging in terrorism of a demonic nature. And Lisa Rogan is going to federal prison for that. The Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court is nothing other than a crime scene, and that's why you have the impossible occurring, where you see the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. There's no sun that's going to bounce and be over the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court at some point at 10:29 in the morning. That's capturing the specific environment that remains directly over me, while I go to very distinct locations, showing you what is that phenomenon that coexists with what is present, that becomes criminal because the government is keeping you under surveillance in a demonic method in concert with everyone that's around you. That's the significance of capturing what is not possibly the sun inside of the apartment that I remain in for the duration of the day, where this light source remains at the end of the day, and comparing it with where I was at the same time at 10:29 in the morning. There's no sun. That's a light source over me, speaking to the crime scene. That is a courthouse. The state of California engaging in what is federal group stalking and monitoring, replete with engineer light that's moving across, engineer light that you see inside of my private space. This is very serious criminal conduct that the entity is engaging in, and it is evidenced through the unnatural environment. I don't only need your speech and your presence, but literally the environment that surrounds me, and it shall be a comprehensive prosecution. Period. A comprehensive prosecution. And this is serving for what is time in federal prison that Lisa Rogan shall suffer, because you will not only engage in exercise of fictitious authority as a judge, a corrupt one, sitting on the bench, serving to exercise unlawfully the liberty rights of an American citizen whom you are monitoring. You will sit in federal prison while that target individual serves even an hour, 30 minutes. While you are engaging in this criminal conduct. And let me be clear, I served more than 30 minutes while this entity sought to kidnap me repeatedly, because it knows that I was documenting its criminal system that the entire state is engaging in and continuously engaging in. And her time in federal prison is going to be commensurate with what the harms that I continue to suffer to date while she engaged in the exercise of fictitious authority via her corrupt exercise of authority, sitting on the bench, engaging in what is federal group stalking and monitoring, and feigning the authority in the role of a judge, while that light source that's speaking to that, and the court documents, which is an admission to that, and the time that I documented while I was subject to criminal defamation. Those are very, very, very serious federal charges that I'm pointing out while the entity provides this evidence, which is no distraction, like I stated. It is the P.O.C., and that's just an ongoing example. What you see at the top, while the entity is maintaining a light source where I'm never coming anywhere near outside of Ontario, San Bernardino County, except to prosecute the state, as I showed the specific environment as I traveled outside of San Bernardino County, for example, to Pomona, and then you see that light source over the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. Sex offenders and terrorists of that same condition, and you have what is not a coincidental pattern of conduct, it's a very specific demonic pattern of conduct, which is relevant for purposes of prosecuting as terrorism. So this is a lengthy video again, but the entity arriving with this environment is a communication of a threat. All the entity is doing on an ongoing basis, as you are already aware, is maintaining engineered light. So let me show you, the blinds are closed. You saw what the entity is maintaining. The light source is remaining directly over my apartment all day long. As I step outside of the front door, you already know the light source is right over wherever I move. It's entirely demonic. And as I go to the front door, the light source is going to be directly over me, over the front door, as I've captured on video a plethora of times. As I walk to the back of the apartment, the reality of what's going on is the light source remains over the top of the apartment building. At the latter part of the day, which is what the federal government will pay attention to, you will see then the light source will be maintaining a position such that it's over the, as opposed to being over the top of my head, the entity maintains the light source in a position that keeps in front of me, which is, again, the asinine and failure to appear as though it's gone somewhere. It hasn't gone anywhere. The entity maintains the light source on this side of my person in the morning, this side of my person for the duration of the day, directly over the top of my head, which is where it remains, directly over this apartment building. And then it's in alignment to me right here, keeping right in front. This is what you see during the 3 o'clock, 4, 5, 6 into the sunset time frame, where the entity maintains the light source from rising until setting. Okay, so again, this is me. The entity is engaging what is rising and setting. That's what the entity is doing. This is how you have directly over the top of my head at 9:30 in the morning, where I'm standing at the entrance of the apartments of Alvarado Gardens, and then what the entity is doing, keep the light source in a position such that it's in front of me. And this is what you see while I'm standing at the same entrance of the Alvarado Gardens apartments, and the light source is right in front of me at that same entrance, at the same location, the same address. That's how you get that pattern. That's how you get that presence. It is under no circumstances suggesting that it's the sun. All I'm doing is breaking down the asinine and demonic criminal system, the crime scene, where the people of the state are acting together to engage in what is the system of federal group stalking and monitoring. And those that are living at the crime scene are going to federal prison for it. Those such as Carla Lopez, who are working at the crime scene, are going to federal prison for it. Those that criminally facilitate
such as universal waste, are going to federal prison for it. Again, and this is what I've already documented. Again, the third party, universal waste, and also the license plate of that third party. And I documented also another employee, the overweight Latino male wearing the New York Yankees hat. This is already on video. He's going to federal prison, acting in concert with LAPD in the specific environment, engaging in the ongoing failed effort. It's entirely pathetic, but it's nonetheless the pattern. The entity will engage in more of that criminal conduct to the demise of everyone, including itself, those specific actors, while they are aware of the fact that they're being documented. So I just want to make sure that I capture that. This is the significance of what I've spoken to, the entity's P.O.C. And you have what is entirely terrorizing. The entirety of the population is just engaging what is pacing all around, while the entity is pacing in helicopters all day long. That's the substance of what I'm capturing. 10 o'clock, 10:27, 10:28, 10:29, 10:30 as I begin documenting. And then 10:47, 11:13, 11:52, 12:13, while the entity just stalking in helicopter all day long, while the light source remains over my apartment all day long. And then when I engage in any movement, like I did the other day, for the first time moving my vehicle after the entity damaged my vehicle, they broke into my vehicle in January 2024. The entity is going to suffer time in federal prison for that. I documented the people of the state group stalking at Planet Fitness, and I'm going to drain the pockets of Planet Fitness, which is a group stalker. But nonetheless, you engage in any such acts, that's the government. You engage in what is obstruction of justice, you engage in any personal property damage and stuff like that, you go to federal prison for that. It's the government that's doing it through the people. And I documented the people group stalking while they broke into my vehicle. That's the government breaking into your vehicle. And so I want to be clear on that. And while I go to, again, leave Alvarado Gardens, and I am at what is the car wash, you have the phenomenon that the sun is going to be in perfect alignment with me while I'm at the car wash, while it's remaining in alignment with my apartment in LA. Oh, while it's also setting at the Ovid Family Community Library at 215 East C Street in Ontario, California as well. And it's also at the same time remaining in perfect alignment with me while I'm documenting the group stalking by the Upland Police Department as I walk outside of the Upland Public Library. Is that really the case? Is that what's happening? No, that's not what's naturally happening. That's what's happening in the specific environment, though. That's speaking to the crime scene. And all of an entity is indeed group stalking while you are surrounded, and you can see the light source. You can identify the group stalker in the specific environment and that phenomenon. And you're just literally documenting everybody that's around you because they're monitoring while that environment, it's for the convenience of the people of the state. And it is exposing the condition of a lot of people, which is demon possession. This is a psychopath. And let me be clear, I've already prosecuted the people of the state. I'm literally being generous, not even documenting you, because you're threatening my life by being present. All right. But the entity wants to engage in what is the reason why this particular demon was documented, because she engages in opening her door and engaging in what is harassment, touching me with engineered light. Okay. That's not a natural occurrence. This is a psychopath that wants to look like she's focused on doing something else when she is group stalking you. The engineer light is present. The light source is present. You're not doing the federal government is fully apprised of what you're doing and the ways in which you seek to appear to be doing it, which is revealing your mental illness that you don't want to be public knowledge. But the entity engaged in what is harassment via engineer light while I'm rubbing down my back seats I'm cleaning my leather seats. All right. And while I do so, engineer light smacking me again, harassing me with engineer light. It's not even naturally occurring. This is Satan that's begging for attention. So since you want that attention, that's exactly what this demon gets. And so she's being heavily documented now. She's group stalking, engaging in what is harassment instead of just minding her business and accepting the pass that I'm giving her and not documenting her by license plate. And I'm documenting everybody else that's group stalking with her. And this is the evidence of it. She's sitting right in her vehicle while the light source is in perfect alignment. Okay, so this is the entity that is indeed engaged in that pattern as I, again, move from remaining inside of my apartment where it's present all day long. As the moment that I go to a car wash, the light source is moving to maintain presence and alignment to me. That's revealing everybody's criminal engagement in federal group stalking and monitoring, and it is identified through that unnatural environment. Okay. So that is a lengthy discussion, but this is serving to inform the masses in addition to prosecute the state of California. It is in 10:43 a.m. and it is again Friday, June 14, 2024. What I document again in still images with regard to terrorism via directed light that remains on my ceilings, while the entity is sounding helicopter activity as I capture it both experience it audibly and or on video, which again is going to serve for real-time prosecution. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because literally Heather Till is going to go to federal prison for the wealth of documentation that the LAPD gives to me.
Okay, so as I continuously document, there are people that are going to suffer consequences for what the entity is doing as one. And that's how you implode and you destroy and disincentivize federal group stalking and monitoring with the corrupt government. All right, it is currently 10:43 a.m. This is P.O.C.